Copyright disclaimer. Under Title 17 U.S.C. Section 107, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing nonprofit, educational, or personal use, tips a balance in favor of fair use. The impact on some Scientologists who saw the RPF in operation. Two very revealing accounts exist by people who were Scientologists and had brief but disturbing encounters with RPF inmates. Their accounts provide some indications of the cumulative impact the brainwashing and confinement efforts had on people who experienced them. One account was from former member Joe Cesar, who stumbled into the RPF's RPF one time in the tunnels below. In the tunnels below the Cedars complex in L.A. There were about a dozen people who apparently had been sleeping in these tiny rooms. There were a couple of blankets on the floor. Both men and women were down there. A man was cutting a woman's pant leg with a knife while she was wearing the pants, and he had sliced her foot. Blood was running down her ankle onto her foot and was puddling on the floor. She looked up at me and gave me what I would consider to be an insane smile and said, "I caused my foot to be in the way of his knife." Two or three of the people who were crouching and laying about on the floor looked up at me as if I were some kind of wonderful joke. I backed out of the way I came in. One of Scientology's big promotion schemes is to tell people that they need to be at cause. These people weren't at cause over anything. They had degenerated back to the Middle Ages. That's what I knew about the RPF when the Scientology ethics officer, Scientology's ethics officer, told me to report down there for indefinite duty. I told her that they could get me down there, but I'd put several of them in the hospital first, and reminded her that I was a Vietnam veteran. Hoorah! I was one of the few Sea Org members who had managed to hang on to his or her car, and I left that night. Good. One wonders what would have happened to Cesar had he not seen the conditions of these inmates prior to his own RPF assignment. The other dramatic glimpse into RPF life came from Ann Bailey, who was involved in moving Scientology into its newly acquired former hospital, called the Cedars of Lebanon Complex. In the summer of 1978, after a move that taxed the levels of her physical endurance, she found herself assigned to guard the secret upper-level theological operating Thetan, or OT, documents that were in a room without a door. They were in the former hospital's old morgue. And she sat there for hours amidst the lingering smell of death and chemicals and dissection. It's not a good smell. Then suddenly, during the third hour, I was aware of shadows in the corridor beyond me. They were people. Slowly, I realized that an entire group of people lived and worked down there. I was so tired that it took me a long time to realize who they were. Then it hit me. They were the Cedars RPF. They lived and worked down in this stinkhole. This was their org. Then I really found out what had happened to them. Filthy, tired skeletons appeared before me and started begging to see the OT folders. I thought I looked bad, but I looked beautiful compared to them. They crowded around me, pushing and shoving them. Then the mood turned ugly. They started hitting each other to get into the room behind me. I realized what had happened. They had been totally broken. They were animals, not humans. I saw 4 of my friends, one a Class 9 OT, fighting to get by me. They were punching each other in the face, pulling hair, kicking, and way down in the cellar, no one could hear them. No one cared. I want to add in here, this is extremely satanic right here. Having them in the basement, locked up, no food. It's very satanic. Extremely so. Someone suddenly hit me hard. I realized that they were turning their anger on me. They would beat me up to get the folders. I guess in periods of deep stress, we all go a little insane. Survival of the fittest. From somewhere in my tired brain, strength came. I took up with all my TRs, i.e. Scientology communication drills, as they had ever been, and all my training on control of groups came back. Friends, I said, believe me, I am your friend. By some strong fate, I am not with you on the RPF. But believe me, if you don't get out of here right now, I know that you will be punished. Go now before it's too late, and they ran away into the dark. When I sat down, I was trembling all over, because the real intent of my message had been for them to get out of the hospital, leave Cedars. But I don't think any of them got the message. She was out of the Sea Org in a week. Conclusion. Brainwashing as a practice in Scientology and a concept in sociology. That'll be the next one.